Graber, McDaniels, Weeks,
Here.
Thomas, Nipko,
Here.
and Carter.
Here.
Okay, on the agenda tonight, we have interview special counsel applicant. As we discussed in the last meeting, regular meeting, it became apparent after talking with Mr. Woolworth, our city attorney, that it might be advisable to have a backup attorney in case conflict ever arose where Mr. Woolworth had to step aside and not be a counsel for the city. So we have taken action to get an attorney, a law firm, that would act in that capacity. And Mr. Lauber is here tonight. I'm going to ask him to come up to the table, and I'll introduce those council members that are present. We have Mike Zumwalt, Larry Clark, Joel Weeks, Jim Nipko, and Neil Carter. Mr. Lauber. The interview tonight is open. It was, as I said before, the desire of the council to interview a candidate that was put forth last month. And so Mr. Lauber is here. He has graciously handed out a flyer to each council member. As well, you had in your packet for the meeting some literature that I downloaded off of the internet, which I have shared with you in the mailing with the agenda. Also, the memorandum of understanding that would be in effect should we engage a special counsel. I think at this time, I'd ask Mr. Lauber to kind of give us an overview of his firm, kind of bring us up to speed where you're coming from.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight as members of the council. Appreciate that. My name is Joe Lauber. All city attorneys don't have to be named Joe. It just works that way sometimes. But I've been an attorney since 2002. In my entire practice, I have done nothing but represent cities. So I've devoted my entire career to the representation of cities. I don't do wills. I don't do personal injury cases. I don't do adoptions and divorces and any of that other stuff. I began working with a firm in downtown Kansas City. I had kind of worked my way through a couple firms, and in 2010, I founded Lauber Municipal Law, my firm. Since that time, I've grown the firm from just myself to, at this point, we now have 3 attorneys that are currently on my staff, 2 of them that are full-time, and 1 who is in an of-council status. He works about 30 hours a week. He's actually elected treasurer of Platte County, Missouri. Jennifer Baird, who's another attorney in office, she also has devoted her entire career to representing cities. She started out at the City of Lee Summit in their internal offices, and then worked with me at some other firms that do municipal law. Jeremy Cover is another attorney in my firm who also has dedicated his career to representing cities. He was in-house at the City of Jefferson City prior to that. So our firm, again, all we do is municipal law. We kind of do that in a couple different ways. One way that we represent our clients is as general counsel. So we do serve as city attorney for 11 cities, where we do the day-to-day work that you're familiar with that city attorneys do. 3 of those cities we also serve as the prosecutor. Mr. Cover does that type of work. Outside of the everyday general counsel city attorney work, we also do special counsel, which would be the situation that you're looking at here, where the city has an existing city attorney, but you might need someone to come in a backup role, or in a role, sometimes we're called in to do more complicated matters. For example, a condemnation if you need to use eminent domain, or annexation if you're looking to expand your boundaries, those types of projects that require additional detail that would take away from the day-to-day work of attorneys. And we do that work kind of all over from Branson to Moberly to, you know, kind of all over, really kind of what I would say the western, we go basically from the Lake of the Ozarks back to the west in Missouri on that. And then the third role that we perform is something that is kind of a very much a kind of a high interest level for all of us at the firm, is that we do special counsel economic development work. So we do tax increment financing, community improvement districts, transportation development districts, all the various economic development tools that are available to communities to help attract businesses, industry, that type of thing, to their cities. I currently represent the city of Jefferson City, Sedalia, Grandview, Grand Valley, Butler, Pleasant Valley on TIF. So if you're familiar with like the Truman's Marketplace project in Grandview that they're redoing, that I represent the city in that. If you've been to Green Valley and see the theater project that we got up there, that was a project that I worked on, so on and so forth. So that kind of in a nutshell is what we do, and I'm happy to answer any questions regarding those items.
Okay, floor is open to the council for any questions you might have of Mr. Lawler.
What's the specific reason for hiring another? We have a city attorney, and I think you started a little bit earlier than that. I didn't make it on the first, but I don't really understand the reason that we would need another.
Well,
and maybe I haven't analyzed what I've read, but my question would be, what is so, just like right now, special meeting, pretty expensive. What would be so urgent that we would need to call a special meeting?
Well, it's been called, we're here, and we have an agenda, and we'll follow the agenda. To answer your first question on why we need special counsel, as the current city attorney shared with the council at the last meeting, the situation could arise where he would have a conflict of interest in a situation that might involve where he feels that he has to step aside. If he steps aside, then the council would have no legal representation. And so the purpose of getting a special prosecutor, special attorney, not prosecutor, a special attorney, is to have someone there so that the city would have legal representation if and when that did occur.
Is there a situation coming up now, and this is a special meeting, is there a situation coming up now that you're aware of that is going to require another?
At this time, there's no action taken that would dictate that there will be.
Mr. Mayor, what's the difference in the situation you just described if Joe Willard were to suffer a heart attack and be incapacitated and could not perform? I mean, I guess my stance is why now? What is the reason now? Why could we not address needing a representation for the city when the occasion occurs that one is needed? I guess that's my question. I think that's it. You know, why do we need it in advance? And we haven't needed it in advance for years. Why not?
Mr. Willard, as I have said before, explained last month, and he has been in consultation, as has some council members with him, in regard to a situation that is evolving, that he feels like he will have to step aside. I can't go into it in detail because, as you know, the city council met in executive session a month or two ago and discussed the topic. Mr. Willard has said he would have to step aside should that proceed because he's already been contacted by one entity of the city. So we're all fully aware of what the situation could be Will it happen? I don't know. I don't want the city to be caught in a situation where they have no legal representation. I think I would be derelict of duty if I allowed that to happen.
I would think at that time, if that situation occurred, we could have a special meeting and at that time engage a firm to represent the city. Because normally legal matters don't happen instantaneously, they're dragged out over a period of time. And I believe that there would be plenty of time, should a situation come up where a separate legal firm were required to represent the city, and we could call a special meeting at that time tomorrow.
That would be one way to go. I'm choosing to get on board now an attorney that would be ready, willing, and able to represent the city. I don't want to be caught where we're in a situation where we have to hunt for an attorney, or we have to track one down, or we have to bring one up to speed. I'm being proactive, as I think I was elected to be for the city, not reactive. Yes, sir.
I don't think it's gonna hurt anything, it ain't gonna cost us nothing. Won't cost us a dime if he's, is that right?
That's correct. There's no retainer or anything like that. If we enter into an engagement letter with the firm, we would just be available, kind of as the mayor had indicated. You know, if you don't use us, we don't send you a bill. That's as simple as that. If you utilize us, you know, we already have an agreement in place, and you can work from that.
That answers the question. Get an attorney on board that's there for the city's best interest, should one ever be needed.
Would the situation be such that Mr. Willard would step aside formally, in writing perhaps, before Mr. Lomber would begin his services? Or would both of them be providing services at the same time?
The city would only have one attorney acting on their behalf at a time.
But the topic we're not talking about, the issue that's coming up, Mr. Willard done told us that he was already contacted by another entity saying that he was going to represent them, not us. So technically, we'll be without representation when that issue does arrive. It will arrive.
What issue are we talking about?
The issue we're not talking about. What we had executive session about last month. I mean, before the issue even came to light to the council, there were certain council members on this board that knew 3 to 4 months in advance what was going on, and they brought it to the council to be aware of it, so we could have sought legal advice right off the bat. Then we wouldn't have to be in this spot. I mean, Joe sat here last month and told us straight up that, you know, he's representing them. So if it does come out, we're gonna have to call him. So why wait until that time when we've already got a guy standing there ready to do it? It's not gonna cost us a dime, it's just making an agreement.
If I remember, Willard has pretty much said that he couldn't represent anybody.
Let's give them more advice than he has us. I'm
I'm
unhappy with the
He
services.
hasn't given me any advice, but I'm just going to what was mentioned at the other, when he was here at the last meeting.
You heard something like that?
Currently, Mr. Willard is working with an entity of the city which causes this conflict. And he has told us, as Councilman Weeks said, that if this comes to a situation where it has to be dealt with legally, he will step aside. He cannot represent the city of Holden. And I think as a city council, we would be doing the citizens of this community a disservice if we did not act act in a positive way to get prepared for what hopefully will not happen. But should it happen, wouldn't it be better to say we were aware, we took steps to protect your interests? We were all represented to represent the citizens of this community, not special interests, not individuals, but the community as a whole.
And bringing that subject up, we have two prosecutors, or we did at one time. Our city prosecutor came over and told us he needed a special prosecutor to work for him because of conflict of interest. But we're going to run across the same thing in the future. So what's it hurt having a second one on standby? It's not possible. And then on that topic, you know, we can call Joe and get his advice on something. Then we can call this guy and get his advice. And if the two match, we know we're in the right direction.
Any other questions? We have a very well-established, reputable law firm here tonight in Lee Summit, stationed in Lee Summit, that has vast experience in multiple areas, and the city is faced with a situation where we're trying to act in the best interest of the citizens.
Do you have a copy of this engagement letter you mentioned a couple of times? Because I don't have a copy. What's in the packet that I got?
It was not in the packet.
What's the title?
Looks like this.
This thing?
I believe so, yes.
That's an engagement letter?
Any other questions? That would conclude the interview of the special counsel applicant. Item 3 on the agenda is consider approval of an engagement letter with special counsel applicant. We've alluded to it already. Are there any specific questions in regard to the letter of engagement?
Just one comment here.
Yes, sir.
This is from Mr. Lombard to you, Honorable Rick Edwards Mayor. And the first sentence it says, you, referring to you, Mr. Mayor, have requested the law firm, municipal law firm, to serve as special counsel. That's not a city council action as such. It is your request to them, and I have some concerns. I have some concerns about that. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I kind of go along with Jim. I think maybe council should have been in on this. Should have been on this before. And I question the need for another law. I have no doubt about your potential. I read it there.
I have no questions concerning your motives or anything else, Mr. Mayor. That's not my concern. The concern was that is a matter of which is handled. So, and the need for it at this time. And I think
Mr. Mayor, if it's of any help, the form that I use, the engagement letter is a common practice by attorneys to set up the terms of engagement, and I'm fully understand that it requires council approval before something like this can be approved. So that's essentially why I think you're having this meeting this evening, is to gain council approval. I would not continue work. I would not begin work. Not continue, but I would not begin work on a project unless the council fully approves. So.
Sure, I understand. Very professional.
Now, of course, what we're talking about here is our board of public works and O&M, but you work with, I think you work with the proprietor of O&M in some other cities, don't you?
Pardon?
In East Lynn and some other cities, don't you work with Tony Loretta?
O&M provides services to the city of East Lynn. They're really the only community that we represent as city attorneys where they're involved.
And that's not a conflict of interest or anything.
I don't represent O&M, I represent the city.
What's the council's privilege?
Okay, vote, let's go.
Need a motion and a second, and a vote.
Make a motion.
Second. Okay. Motion by Weeks, seconded by Clarkin to employ Special Counsel Joseph G. Lauber for the city of Holden. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
no.
No.
For the reasons stated before.
Okay. If I,
It was abstaining and no.
okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 yes. And
I said we need to take
a roll call.
yeah.
All right.
That's only fair.
Councilman Clarkin.
Yes.
Councilman Zumwalt.
Yes.
Councilman Rayburn.
No.
Councilman McDaniel's absent. Councilman Weeks.
Yes.
Council Member Thomas.
Abstain.
Councilmember Nepko.
No.
Councilmember Carter.
Abstain.
We have 1, 2, 3 yes, 2 abstain, and 1 no.
2 noes.
2 no, I'm sorry. So the motion fails?
Motion passes.
Passes.
Well, we have,
3 yes, 2 no's, and 2 stays.
Isn't that 4?
Abstained don't count.
okay, that's true. That's like,
3-2.
so we have a 3 yes and a 2 no. Okay, so the motion carries.
5 is 4.
Pardon?
That's the majority of the board.
That's the majority of the quorum.
Yes. We need a majority of the quorum.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Is there a second?
On this,
Pardon?
on this,
I said adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
That's the only motion in foot, not debated.
That's right.
Second.